this thing on? Forgot how to do this. Hello lovely people of the internet, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Hannah if you're new here, and I'm so excited to be back. And I would say like a majority of you probably were like, Hannah, you weren't even gone that long. Like I didn't even notice. But for me, it was a huge deal because like I am used to filming. I'm used to picking up my camera and telling you what I'm reading, and it was so weird not being able to do that. So briefly, let's just talk about kind of why I took that hiatus, why I took that break. And I mentioned it to some of you on my live sprints, but basically my husband has been having some really scary health issues, and they're really kind of taking a toll on him as well as me. And if I'm just being quite honest with you, I needed to get in touch with the Lord. And if you do not pray or if you are not a Christian, you may not understand that, and that is totally okay. But if you are a Christian and you are a Christ follower, then you understand that. And you understand that the things of this world and the junk in it tend to clutter your heart and your mind and get you away from the Lord. And I wasn't really away from the Lord, I just didn't feel close, if that makes any sense at all. I was just going through the motions at one point. The thought of my husband going through something as scary as this is really something that gets you thinking, and really something that you need to talk to the Lord about. So I did. I completely stopped everything that was unnecessary. Now, let me say this. I did not stop reading. I read 7 books in February. So I didn't stop reading. I didn't stop social media altogether. I did not delete it off my phone, but I really limited the time that I spent on it and really prioritized the time I spent with the Lord. So that was the whole point of this whole break, was to kind of teach myself how to have boundaries with social media and have boundaries with YouTube, and how to set those healthy boundaries and just say, you know what, I'm spending time with the Lord right now. So yeah, as of right now, we're just kind of like in a waiting game with my husband's health issues. We go the 4th of March to find out anything. At this point, we have no idea what's going on. All that we know is that it's happening. We don't know the reason, we don't know the cause, but hopefully on the 4th of March, we will know that. I also mentioned that I was praying for something regarding my job, and I still am, but in that break that I took, I have got an answer. It's not really a super clear answer, but I am still praying about that and still thinking about that and just still rolling that around in my heart. So going forward, I want you guys to know right off the bat, I will not be as present as I have been. So my YouTube channel, I really tried to keep it to 2 times a week and film and upload 2 times a week plus reading sprints, and I just feel like at this point that is just too much. Not just because it's stressing me out or anything like that, but because I feel like it's taking time away that I could be spending with the Lord or with my family or with my friends, and I just don't want to do that anymore. So that being said, I am going to try and stick to a once a week upload. Now I'm just gonna be honest, I really missed filming, so I may film a lot of extra videos, and who knows, you may see me twice a week every once in a while, but as for my regular schedule, I'm just gonna stick to maybe once a week, if that. I'm still gonna be trying to do my weekly reading sprints. I absolutely adore doing those, so obviously those are not gonna go anywhere, but you may not see me every week. Guys, I know that really none of this matters to you, and it really doesn't matter to you how much I upload or what I do, but I just wanted to be sure that if you are following me, then you have a good indication of what's going to be happening and why. So yeah, let's get into the real reason that you're here, and let's talk about the books that I recently read in January and in February, because I've not told you a single book, and I'm so excited. I've not told you any books that I've read in 2024 yet. And let's go ahead and jump in. So let's start with the books that I read in January. So I had a really good reading month in the month of January because I had a lot of time off from work. We had a huge snowstorm in the middle of January, And in the South, if there's just a little bit of snow, we will probably get out of school. I ended up reading 11 books in the month of January, and I found a lot of new favorites and one not so favorite. Also, I'm just now getting over COVID, so if you hear me fighting for my life, I probably am. The Drink of Champions. The first book I finished in January is the start of a brand new series that I started this year, and I'm absolutely in love with it, and that is The Natural series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Basically, this is just a YA Criminal Minds. That's all I can tell you about this book. It's following our main character Cassie, and Cassie has a special ability to be able to read people and understand why they do what they do. And the FBI gets a hold of that information that Cassie is out there existing, and they bring her in and ask her to join this program. Basically what this program is, it's a bunch of teenagers that have these special abilities that fight crime and break these cold cases and basically help the authorities. This is so good. I cannot recommend this series to you enough. It's YA, which means it reads very fast, but it's not YA enough to where it's like cringy. I love these characters. I love this little like love triangle. Jennifer Lynn Barnes does really well at love triangles, and I love this love triangle. It has me by the throat, to be honest. Each story has a different case that they're working on or a different scenario that they're working on, and let me tell you, high stakes at its finest. The next book I picked up was one of my anticipated books of the entire year, and that is The Fury by Alex Michaelides. This is the same author that wrote The Silent Patient, and oh my goodness guys, I was so anticipating this one. So this one is following a group of friends who decide that they are just in desperate need of a break, and so they decide to pack up their things and go on a remote island in Greece. And then one of them turns up dead. It's giving Glass Onion. If you guys don't know my obsession with this movie, now you know. I love this movie, and any kind of book that gives me those kind of vibes, I'm completely here for. Overall, I gave this book 4 stars. It wasn't my favorite Alex Michaelides by far. I really liked it better than The Maidens, but I didn't like it as much as The Silent Patient. I will say at the very end, it was very twisty. I really loved that twist, but I just wanted a little bit more. And this book breaks the 4th wall, which means that there is a character in the story that is actually telling you the story, and a lot of people don't like that, but I personally really liked it. I thought it added so much to the story and so much to the mystery aspect. I personally really liked it. The next book I picked up was the second in the Natural series, Killer Instinct by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I was so obsessed with this series that I had to pick up book 2 immediately. So I can't really go into detail about what this one is about because this one is based off of events that happened in the first one. Just know that 1, the characters are getting more developed, 2, there's a lot more juicy things going on, and 3, the love triangle is still thriving. Something I never thought I would say, I am Team Dean. Not from Gilmore Girls, this Team Dean. The next book I picked up was Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. I picked this up in the middle of our snowstorm, and I'm so glad I did. So a lot of people told me that this was their favorite Alice Feeney, and so I immediately went into this one with super high hopes. And to be honest, this was super good, but it's not my favorite Alice Feeney. Daisy Darker will forever hold that spot. Rock, Paper, Scissors is following a couple that is having some struggles in their marriage. Adam and Amelia decide that all they need is a good remote getaway. A couple things about this couple is that Adam has this disease or disorder that allows him to not recognize faces. So that right there should go ahead and tell you some stuff's gonna go down in this book. One of my favorite tropes in thrillers is when a couple goes into a house and they automatically get the feeling that they're not alone. I love being creeped out like that, and this whole book creeped me out. I loved it. I gave it an easy 5 stars. Again, it was fantastic, but it's not my favorite Alice Feeney. Daisy Darker will forever be my favorite. I'm gonna cry all over again. I picked up Lights by Brenda Thumler. This is book number 3 of the Sheets graphic novel series. I've talked about that series so much on my channel that you guys are probably sick of hearing me talk about it, but this is book number 3. I adore this series with my entire heart. So obviously this is book number 3. I can't go into super big detail about it because obviously this takes place from events that happened in the previous books. But this series is following our main character Marjorie, and Marjorie has lost her mom, and so she is in charge of running her family laundromat. And inside that laundromat one day she meets this cute little ghost named Wendell. And so this book series is basically just following their friendship and just kind of navigating the fact that she's friends with a ghost. This one was by far my favorite. in the entire series. I don't know, number one was really hard to beat. This one, however, went into so much different commentary that I thought was just done so well. There were some really sad moments, there were some sweet moments, and this one just holds a special place in my heart. If you have still not read this series after so many times of me recommending it to you, and then the journey began. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. This is my first time ever reading the Harry Potter series. I did watch the movies like 1 through 3 before, but never got into the books. And let me tell you, this book world, there is nothing that holds a candle to it. I mean, just a complete masterpiece. Masterpiece. J.K. Rowling, mastermind. I mean, let me just say that this is such an immersive experience. You feel like you were there at Hogwarts. And to be honest, it breaks my heart in two knowing that Hogwarts is not a real place. My favorite character so far in this series is Hagrid and Harry, of course. How could you not love Harry? It's really hard to read him being treated so badly, and especially the fact that he just cannot catch a break. Like, even when he's at Hogwarts, he just cannot catch a break. This poor boy. And then I picked up a book that was just completely off a whim, and that is The Book Club Hotel by Sarah Morgan. Why are not more people talking about this book? I need to understand why. I am here to tell you right now that this book deserves way more attention than it's getting. First of all, I was completely drawn in by the cover because I was, again, in the middle of a snowstorm, and does this not just look like the most cozy time? So this book is following 3 adult women friends, and every month these friends go and have book club at a different hotel. So that's why this is called the Book Club Hotel. So you're getting a lot of different perspectives in this book. You're getting the perspectives of the 3 different women, and you're also getting a perspective of the innkeeper of the Maple Sugar Inn, which so happens to be the inn that these 3 women are visiting. This book has so much to say. There are so many topics that have to do with a woman in general, like the things that we go through as a young woman, as a middle-aged woman, through motherhood. So many different things to discuss in here. This would be a perfect book if you have a book club, like especially a book club of women. This would be a perfect one. I would really recommend reading it during the winter time though, because it is such a perfect, cozy, snowy read. But I'm sure you could read it any time of the year because it's just that good. 5 stars. And then on my Kindle, I read Never Lie by Frida McFadden. I was really just feeling a Frida McFadden. Do you ever get in those moods where you just need a really fast, really quick popcorn thriller? And that is what Frida McFadden does. And she is not afraid to go there and get the postcard and come back, my friends. She is fearless. So again, this follows one of my favorite tropes in the mystery thriller genre, where a couple basically buys a new house and they start to feel like they're not alone in the house. Let's just say when this couple gets to their new house, lots of secrets come out. That's all I'm going to tell you. That's quite literally it. Next, book number 2, I went into the next book of the Harry Potter series, Chamber of Secrets. I will say that this book is just pure vibes. Chamber of Secrets has so much going on, but really nothing super high stakes. My favorite parts of this book were Moaning Myrtle. She was hilarious. I loved her. The Quidditch games. Are you kidding me? The Nimbus 2000, and obviously when we got to the Chamber of Secrets. Now, I did deduct a star from this. I gave it 4 stars. The only reason why I did that was because I thought the pacing in this one was really odd, because we spent the whole book just kind of developing characters, just kind of, you know, hanging out in the courtyard, and nothing really high stakes happened until the last 50 pages. And this book is called Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. And I thought we would get to the Chamber of Secrets a lot quicker than we did, and that's why I gave it 4 stars, just because I wanted to spend more time in the actual chamber and understand and experience that a little bit longer, because it literally was so fast. We were done before I got to even understand what was going on. But again, don't think for one single second that I didn't love this one. You guys aren't ready for this one. You guys aren't ready for it. Let's just talk about it. Very rarely do I ever read a book that I absolutely hate because I'm really good about finding my reading taste and just sticking to it. So I read a lot of books that I love. Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. I'm at a loss for words, guys. Oh my gosh. So let's just start here. I went into depth on a vlog that hopefully you guys will see soon, but this book is classified as young adult. That's my first issue because young adult books, I feel like in general, we need to reclassify what makes a young adult book and what doesn't. Because I feel like not just this one, but I feel like there's so many books out there that classify as YA that aren't actually YA. And as a teacher, that really gets under my skin. Yes, I understand that kids are free to read whatever they want, and I know there's parents out there that don't really mind and don't really care, and you can do whatever you want. Fine. But this was so incredibly sexualized and so incredibly adult. The only part that I would even classify as new adult, which is what everybody's arguing, the fact that this is not young adult, it's new adult, is the fact that they're in college. This is an adult book. First of all, Mallory is hooking up every other week with some different guy, which, why are we still talking about hookup culture, guys? It's icky. Like, why are we making it cool? Why are we putting it in our fiction? Especially young adult. Why are we doing that? And second of all, the characters in here were absolutely infuriating. He was a jerk. She was just completely ridiculous. Her sisters were the most ungrateful characters I've ever read about in my entire life. I don't want you to read this. I think that it is a waste of time. I think that Ali Hazelwood really flopped with this one. Honestly, I think I'm done with Ali Hazelwood at this point because I really do lose respect for authors that put stuff on the shelf that are not what they are. Long story short, I did not like this book. I actually hated it. I gave it 1 star. If I could give it 0 stars, I absolutely would. I did not like this. And finally, the last book that I read in January is Empty Smiles by Katherine Arden. This is book number 4 and the last book of the Small Spaces middle grade series. I absolutely adore this series so incredibly much. I loved this series from book 1 and I continue to love it all the way to the end. So obviously I can't go into super depth with this one because again, it is book 4, but this series is following a group of middle grade friends who go out and have these encounters with someone who's trying to kill them. And it's super spooky, super mysterious, super eerie. This one, I loved the setting. It took place at this old mysterious carnival. Loved that. I did think the pacing was a little bit off in this one, and I didn't enjoy this one as much as I would have liked to, so I did end up giving it a solid 3, but it was still a really great end to the series. Okay, those are the 11 books that I read in January. Let's quickly talk about the 7 books that I read in February. Book number 1 was such an exciting book for me because I got on NetGalley for the first time in my life and I started requesting books, and the first book that I was ever approved on was The Rule Book by Sarah Adams. This book comes out on April 2nd, 2024. When I saw this in my NetGalley folder, I was so shocked. I was so excited and I immediately opened it. So I wrote a review on this book and I just kind of want to read my review because I feel like I kind of summed it up as best as I know how. Just so you know, I loved it. Nora McKenzie's sport agent career is just about to take off when she's given her first official client. Derek Pender is a famous NFL tight end who has just recently injured his ankle, and more than likely his career. Nora is just the kind of help that he needs. The only problem is, Nora is his ex. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Sarah Adams and a second chance romance? I really want to tell you something, but I think it's a potential spoiler. I don't think so because Sarah Adams has actually talked about it on her Instagram. But let's just say there's a little bit of something arranged in here. 5 stars. I absolutely ate this book up. Here's another one that I don't even know how to talk about. The Teacher by Frida McFadden. This was one of my anticipated releases of the year, and I picked it up as soon as it released. Oh, let's just say I did not even give this one a rating. And here's why. The content in this book was so incredibly heavy and disturbing and disgusting that I just could not, in my moral compass, give this any kind of rating. And to be honest, this is not a book that I would go in blind because I went in blind, and I'm pretty sure I even talked about in one of my videos that I was going to go in blind. I'm going to tell you what this book is about, so you guys don't have to do that. The first 2 perspectives are from a teacher couple. So we're following this guy teacher and this girl teacher. And then we're following a perspective of a girl that is in the class of both of these teachers. This is a high school age girl, but this girl has been caught in a scandal, or so they say, of another teacher. She was caught sneaking around his house, and just some things went down that weren't looking very good. Both teachers are kind of on the edge with this girl in their class. The male teacher likes having her in his class. Do with that what you will. They do start a relationship, and without the woman teacher, without the wife teacher knowing, and that is where I'm gonna leave it. This is grooming. This is sexual assault of a minor. Straight to jail, Frida McFadden. But did I finish the book? Yeah, I did. Was it horrific? Was it horrifying for me to read? Yes, it was. Let me tell you, the ending of this book is absolutely insane. And it goes, again, Frida McFadden is not afraid to go there, my friends. I cannot tell you that enough. And the ending of this book is absolutely insane. But to get there, the content, atrocious. So, do with that information what you will. Again, I didn't dislike this book, and I also didn't like it. Does any of that make sense? And then I just needed something light and fluffy after that. And I just picked up Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams, and I'm so glad I did. And let me just tell you, this is my favorite Sarah Adams by far. This one is following two characters that we met in When in Rome. Annie is Noah's sister and Will is Amelia's bodyguard. So we already know these two characters from the first book. And first of all, Will is a grumpy bodyguard. Let that sink in for just a second. And Annie is this cute little sweet innocent girl who owns a flower shop. Oh my gosh. This was so good. This was so good. This takes the place of my favorite romantic comedy ever. I loved this book so much. I adored this book. The reason that I loved it so much is I feel like I connected with Annie's character on more levels than I like to talk about. I loved Annie. I loved Will. I loved the banter between the two. Annie is having some trouble dating, so she approaches Will and asks him, "Hey, you date a lot of girls. Can you teach me how to date?" I gave this 6 out of 5 stars. Next is a book that I just completely picked up on a whim, and that is The Magic of Lemon Drop Pie by Rachel Linden. I'd never read by this author before, but this cover just kind of sucked me in. This book is about Lolly, and Lolly is just kind of feeling like she's at a dead end in her life, and she just kind of has a lot of regrets. She wishes she could go back in time and just kind of change some things. So her aunt overhears her kind of complaining about her life, and her aunt gives her 3 lemon drops. And she is to take one of these lemon drops and decide which part of her life she would change. And for one day, she's going to live her life as if that thing had changed. And this was everything I wanted. This was cozy, this was sweet, this was wholesome, but it also kept my attention because she was going back in time and she was trying to fix her life. And the ending is exactly how I wanted it to end. And then I read The Clinic by Kate Quinn. I read this for my friend Jessie's book club, Sleep When I'm Dead. This is their February pick of the month, and I'm so incredibly excited to talk about this book with Jessie's book club. Holy cannoli, my friends. This book, I already knew that it was going to be good by the cover alone, but I didn't expect it to be as dark as it was. This book is a dual perspective. We're following this girl named Meg. Meg has a really dark job. She's basically this private investigator sort of a thing that catches card sharks and drug dealers and all sorts of bad guys like that. Her richer, older, more famous sister has checked into this rehab clinic to get clean, and she ends up dead. And Meg cannot settle on the fact of the story that she committed suicide. And so she decides to check herself into this rehab clinic and find out for herself what happened. The other perspective we're following is the manager of this clinic. And let me tell you, I would say like the first 50% of this book is just leading up to the last half of the book. Because holy cow, the last half of this book, don't say I didn't warn you. Next, I picked up the 3rd book in the Harry Potter series, The Prisoner of Azkaban. Everybody and their brother was telling me that this was their favorite book in the series, and let's just say, right now, It is mine too. I loved this one. I loved everything about this one. I will say that I do sense a sort of shift because I do think that Harry is getting older, the characters are getting more developed, and things are getting a little bit darker. This one got a little bit darker. I wasn't really expecting it to be that dark, but I wasn't mad about it. And the twists and the turns that this book had me on, oh my gosh, I was completely... That's where that bookmark went. Why was it in there? I finished this book, I promise. I've been caught red-handed. And let me just tell you, the movie is so closely adapted to this book. It's not even funny. And the last book that I'm going to talk to you guys about today. Oh my gosh, I know we've been here forever, but I know you're going to want to stay for this. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. This is everybody's favorite book, guys. And I had to know what everybody was talking about. So let me tell you what it's about first. This one is following our main characters, Sadie and Sam, and they met when they were kids over the bonding of video games. Fast forward to when they are adults, Sadie and Sam have decided to start their own game business and they create games with each other. And to be honest, I do not know how to describe this book to you. I do not know what to say about it. All I know is that this book is a story of friendship, and it definitely dives into topics and commentary that I was not expecting. I will say that if you love to game, or if you are a huge gamer, I feel like you would really, really love this. I personally am not a huge gamer, so I didn't really get that aspect of it. However, one of my favorite movies is Ready Player One, and I was really hoping that this would give me those kinds of vibes, and in a way, I feel like it did, but I ended up giving this one a solid 4 stars because I really did like it. I liked what it had to say. I liked the characters. I liked the kind of rough around the edges, edgy writing that Gabrielle Zevin had, but I wasn't in love with it, if that makes sense. I wasn't completely head over heels for it. It didn't change my life, but I really liked it, and I do think it's a good story, especially if you can handle it. I feel like there's a lot of topics in here and a lot of different things that go down in here that are really hard to read, but I say if you're up for it, go for it. And there you have it, my friends. That is all of the books that I have read in the month of January and in February. Oh my goodness, I have been here forever. And I hope you got some recommendations today and some books to kind of stay away from. I am so excited to be back and so excited to be talking about the things that I love, and that is books and reading. If you made it this far into the video, please go ahead and leave me a wave emoji for Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, since that was the last book that I talked about. Thank you so much for sticking around with me, my friends, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, friends!